Hi everybody, this is Black Runner Ranger. Sorry that my hair is all messed up. My country's on another big lockdown, and I haven't had a haircut since about a month or two. It might ease up in August, but I don't know. Cases are still pretty high. So just like my Legends of the Hidden Temple crossover list, I'm thinking about doing another tier list, and this time with the individual pictures of Skylanders versus Disney Infinity. Originally, I wanted it to be more of a story. I, I did an animation about it on YouTube. It's only about 2 minutes long, and I did post these as individual images. If you want to see the animation or the pictures individually, there's a link to both of them on YouTube and DeviantArt in the description below. So for me, I'm going to rate which is my favorite, which is my least favorite of the Skylanders versus Disney Infinity rival pictures. And there's a little bit of a story. It was originally supposed to be like Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, where two worlds they collide because of some magic in disruption or something like that, thanks to the fault of our main people, Raiden and Superman. But now, now they have to find a way to separate their worlds, otherwise their rage will consume them all. And that's what I wanted for Skylanders vs. DC Infinity, but I spent so many years on the story that I feel like I wasted a bit too much time, and Disney Infinity and Skylanders has lost their popularity in 2016 or 2017. I mean, when Disney Infinity ended, that was in 2016, but Skylanders, they had one more pack made, but that wasn't very successful. And they shifted all their focus to Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. And this year, Activision has been in a bit of hot water along with Blizzard for misconduct and abuse. That poor woman. And all of Activision's companies are focusing on Call of Duty now. We may not get anything Crash related this year except for that mobile game. Except we have that mobile game, and we may not have anything Spyro related this year either, except for his appearance in Crash Bandicoot on the Run. And I still doubt we'll have anything Skylanders related this year. But anyways, let me decide which is my most favorite of these Skylanders versus Disney Infinity tiers, which is my favorite Skylanders versus Disney Infinity picture. And I will talk a little bit about why I chose them and why they fit. For example, here's Spyro versus Mickey Mouse, which I did a bit earlier. I had a bit of a freeze with the image at first, so pardon me. So here's Spyro and here's Mickey. Yeah, now the reason why I chose Spyro to face off against Mickey Mouse is because they're like Spyro and Mickey are like the earliest of the Skyland of their respective franchises. Spyro's been around since 1998, and Mickey Mouse has been around since 1928. And they are older than any of their other characters in their respective franchise. And you're probably wondering why they're sissy slapping instead of using their powers. I saved that for another image. Then there's Wrecking Ball versus Elastigirl. Now, admittedly, it was a bit tough to find a good rivalry for Elastigirl. Well, because not a lot of Skylanders stretch. I mean, the only two I can think of are Wrecking Ball and Washbuckler. I chose Wrecking Ball because the tongue is basically the longest thing, the only thing he can stretch with. And I give it a B because as much as I like it, I do feel a bit bad for Wrecking Ball in the end. Now, as for Voodoo versus Vanellope, I'm actually not sure why I chose Voodoo against Vanellope. Because I'm not sure why. And the way I drew Vanellope is a bit awkward. Yeah, that's why I put it on the C. Voodoo is fine, but Vanellope, I'm not quite sure. Okay, let's see. What else? Okay, I'm trying to find, next up we have Terrafin, which I also put as a B. I do like the image, but I do think Mr. Incredible looks a bit off. The reason why I chose him against Terrafin is that both he, Mr. Incredible, and Terrafin are very strong. That's about it, really. Yeah, it doesn't, let's see. Jesse versus Bash. I put it as an A. The reason I only did this because I want Jesse to ride on something like Bash. He's like a horse or something. I thought this was a pretty good gag. I guess my only problem with it is because Bash could have a better competitor, but other than that, this is fine. I do adore this one. Well, let's see. Where's the other? Yeah. Oh, this one deserves an S. His Dinorang against Woody, an Australian against a cowboy. Hey, and Dinorang is just mimicking Woody. Just like that shark in the first Toy Story. You know the scene where Woody is like, "Hey, who's got my hat?" And the shark goes, "Hey, look, I'm Woody. Howdy, howdy, howdy." And Woody's like, give me that. This is I basically casted that Woody against Dinorang because just to do that moment. I mean, yeah. Then I always thought maybe a cowboy would face off against an outbackish character. That would fit well for these two. Has there ever been a movie where an American cowboy faces off against an Australian outback guy? Hey, somebody should do a film about that. Let's see, what else? Trying to find here it is. Gil Grunt versus Davy Jones. I put him on a B because now some of you might be asking me, why didn't I cast Davy? Why shouldn't Davy Jones face off against Washbuckler? Well, that was the idea at first, since when I first looked at Washbuckler, I was like thinking to myself, he definitely pulls some Davy Jones vibes there. But I realized that, but I thought that in order to help make these situations have a better match, or how I can properly organize my verses or something like that, I only chose the plain Disney characters, not the Marvel, not the Star Wars characters, just the plain Disney characters, regardless if they're made by Disney or Pixar or live action or whatever, or animated. They have to be made by Disney to face off against the core Skylanders, the ones who are not specifically put in any teams. For example, and have the ability to be reposed for a new figure in the next game. Which is why instead of Washbuckler, I chose Gil Grunt against Davy Jones. And funny enough, both characters have associations with the Kraken. Gil Grunt, if you have a Series 4 Gil Grunt, the only Skylander with a Series 4 figure, you have this ability called the Tidal Wave Gil Grunt, where you get to summon this tidal wave fish Kraken. And Davy Jones, if you've seen Pirates of the Caribbean, The Dead Man's Chest, Davy Jones summons the Kraken. Release the Kraken or something like that. I put it at B because maybe I should have chose Washbuckler against Gil against Davy Jones, but I think it works out fine here. Let's see, what else? Sully versus James Slam Bam. They're both big blue hairy monsters. And they're trying to scare each other. That's all they really need. Nothing special, but it's an A for me. Let's see. Whamshell versus Perry. Now, basically, I only chose Perry against Whamshell just for the sake of this joke, where Whamshell's about to slam Perry, but Perry ends up acting like a normal platypus. Yes. And Whamshell doesn't know whether to hit it or not. This is actually based on the fact that, if you've seen Phineas and Ferb, you notice that when he's not wearing the hat, Perry just stands there. He's always like, I used to have the ability to do Perry the Platypus's cackling noise, but my wisdom teeth got in the way. I don't know when I can remove them though. Just that the pandemic and stuff, and I have a bit of a fear of the dentist. Anyways, where was I? Now as Ancient P, he might have a bit of better rivalry again with Spyro or any other character who has a spy-related thing, since he is a kind of a secret ancient man. But but this gag, I think, for what fits fine. Maybe I should have been a bit better with it, but it's fine. Erupter versus Elsa. This is my favorite. I know a lot of people probably would be asking me, why did I choose Elsa against Chill? Now that would be quite fitting, and I probably have Chill saying to Elsa, saying, "You remind me of somebody I know," which is a reference to the fact that Chill has been trying to save the Snow Queen, her Snow Queen thing. If you look at her backstory, you notice Chill actually is trying to find the Snow Queen was captured by ice trolls or something. And keep in mind, this was a year before Frozen came out, so that's something. But the reason why I chose her against Erupter because of the oppositions, the contrast, where the fire and ice thing. I think it's funnier when it's the opposite more so than it's an equal. If it's an equal, it's it's equal. It's not that funny. But if it's the opposite, that's when it's a lot funnier. No, sometimes it's funnier with something you're not expecting. Yeah. I mean, when Erupter touches Elsa's hands, it either freezes or it burns. Let's see. Ignitor is, I thought this one is also pretty cute. Ignitor versus Anna. Basically, since Elsa is pretty much cold, Anna is pretty much warm, and she would love just warm things. Which is why I have her place a little hot dog. Ignitor. Even though I probably should have included a marshmallow or maybe some corn instead, because it just occurred to me that Kristen Bell, the voice of Anna, is a vegetarian, and she probably would not approve of this. So Oops. Anyways, let's see. Where's the other fire of the Sparrow's adventure? There's one more. Sorry. Itchy nose. Flamesinger versus Dash. Basically, Flamesinger is one of, if not the fastest core Sky. There's his fiery speed thing. He's able to run really fast. Thought be a worthy rival against Dash of the Incredibles. He gets an A from me. Nothing else special. Trigger Happy versus the Lone Ranger. And now this one is one of the few drawings where I added a bit more shadow in them because give the character a bit more depth or 3D-ish look. Or having him when he's facing off against a worthy rival or something like that. I have done a similar image to that before, where Trigger Happy faces off against another character, and that was featured on the Skylanders Facebook page in the fan art section. If only Skylanders continuously updated. Never mind. Anyways, now Trigger Happy and Lone Ranger, they're both gunslingers. That's one on. What else? Boomer versus Phineas, and Boomer accidentally ends up with a robot Phineas instead. You know those Fiendbots and Drobot? We're Fiendbots and Furbots and we're stopping our feet. Mechanical feet. That's basically the only reason why I did this picture. So Phineas can hide in the rock, then Boomer accidentally he gets a decoy instead. Well, Boomer is known to have cybernetic arms. One of the producers of Skylanders did say that Boomer might have lost his arms and legs in an accident. Thus, he had robotic arms and legs. I might do a little animation on that someday. Boomer, Voodoo, and we have Drobot versus Buzz Lightyear. Now, the way I drew Buzz Lightyear was in the style of Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, which is a pretty good TV series. Although the Pixar people are not particularly fond of it. It's basically supposed to be about Buzz and his mission with his teams, with Booster, Mira, and Nexar. And the LGMs also tag along and against the evil Emperor Zurg. There's a movie about that, and there's a TV series about that. And we're also getting another Buzz Lightyear movie next year. It's called Lightyear, but it's not Tim Allen, it's Chris Evans as Buzz Lightyear. And it focuses on the real Buzz Lightyear. Not the toy, the real person it is. Did you know that Buzz Lightyear was based on Buzz Aldrin? The reason why I chose him against Drobot is because they both have these laser abilities. And they both have space or wing suits. I mean, Buzz can pop up his wings and fly. At least in the TV series, not as a toy. Admittedly, I only chose Cinder as against Captain Hector Barbossa, because because both characters they used to be bad, but they later became good in the end. They're reformed. Cinder was in possession of Maleficent, doing evil things. but then got reformed by Spyro. Captain Barbossa, he started off as evil in the first movie, but in the sequels he became an ally to Jack Sparrow and others. I wanted to include the monkey somewhere. You know, that monkey of Jack Sparrow. I wanted to include, yeah. So I thought maybe have the monkey mess with Cinder. Chop Chop versus Skellington is when Chop Chop is basically they're both skeletons. Since what was that phrase by in Nightmare Before Christmas again? And since I am dead, I can take off my head, which is why he had no trouble if somebody decapitates him, especially Chop Chop with his swords. Here's Jack Sparrow versus Hex. They're basically I kind of like this one a lot. It's where they just look at each other and they're angry at each other. That's because both of these characters are not trustworthy. Despite the fact that they're not bad, you can't really trust them. In the backstory of Skylanders, Hex, the Skylanders don't really trust Hex, and in what was it again? In Pirates of the Caribbean, Jack, nobody really trusts Jack. He's always a bit of a deceiver, and yet we love him for it. The air element. We have Sonic Boom as have Sonic Boom versus Tonto. Both are associated with birds. That's about it. I put this as a B because I do feel a little bit bad for Sonic Boom because her one of her offspring is with Tonto, and she gets Tonto's bird instead. Sorry, my nose is just not well today. I'm still breathing. It's just itchy. What else? I adored this one. Whirlwind versus Rapunzel from Tangle. This one I had a bit of fun with this because I had so many different places where the hairs might be pulling Whirlwind like a puppet, and I also thought because of Whirlwind's rainbow ability, she might transform her hair into different colors. And I also drew Rapunzel in the style of Tangled the series, or Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure. Because 3D characters are quite difficult to draw, it makes it easier. 2D drawings make it a bit easier for me to try and replicate. Let's see. Lightning Rod versus Mike Wazowski. I basically only did this because Mike Wazowski might think Lightning Rod is Sully because of his because being a blue, and Lightning Rod might take that as an insult and might zap him. I put him as a B because Mike Wazowski is one of my favorite characters, and I feel bad. Now for the life elements, we have Camo versus Randall. And because both are reptilians and also have a bit of a chameleon associates, are both chameleon associates. Camo's name is short for camouflage, and he looks like a tuatara. Now Randall, he also looks like a lizard, but he does have the ability to become invisible. And for this thing, I thought it'd be This camel would try and scare Randall by being covered in watermelon, like he was covered in blood. Actually, I changed my mind. It's an S for me. Stealth Elf versus Violet Paw. Where do I put this one? Maybe on a B. Then both characters can become invisible. Now the only reason why Violet is giving Stealth Elf as a wedgie is because earlier it was a request from somebody who just loved to see characters, especially female characters, getting wedgies. I have drawn a few of them, not a lot, a few of them. But don't ask me to do this too often. Because I hear that wedgies are a bit of a fetish to some people. I did draw, and admittedly I was a bit nervous when it comes to the wedgie part because at one point in my life I did make an image which is also a bit of a wedgie thing. But it got policy, but apparently somebody decided to flag it as a policy violation thing. They had to have it removed, and I decided to modify it a bit to just have no wedgie in that part. But yet the other wedgie pictures I made, are still remain and are fine. I was like, what was the deal with that guy? And I don't know. And I'm gonna do two more, and then I'm gonna get myself a glass of water because when I talk a lot, I throat's a bit dry. There's gotta be one more. Here it is. Stump Smash versus Wreck-It Ralph. Basically, they both have the ability to smash. That's about it, really. It's fine. And then there's Chaos versus Syndrome. Since Chaos is like one of the main baddies of Skylanders, Syndrome is perhaps one of the main baddies of Disney Infinity. While he did appear, he's of course, being from The Incredibles, he is the main villain of The Incredibles, but he's also a main villain in the Toy Box Takeover playset. So, with that said, he's a villain on both occasions. So, I'd say he's like the main villain of Disney Infinity overall. So it would fit fine for him to go against Chaos. Also, both Chaos and Syndrome are kind of brats in a way. Syndrome was at first once was a big fan of Mr. Incredible. But Mr. Incredible is like, fly home, buddy. I work alone. And you know, some shenanigans happened. Mr. Buddy was arrested, and Syndrome felt torn apart. It tore me apart. And I learned something. You can't trust your heroes. I was like, dang, that's deep, because nowadays there are some people that we all admired a lot, and then they turn out to be monsters in the end. Like either the misconducts or somebody who does something scandalous. It's like say Butch Hartman or John Crispolucci. Admired people in the animation industry. Nowadays they are considered. John Crispolucci is now seen as a predator for the youngsters, and as for Butch Hartman, that'll wax his campaign, thinking that autism can be cured. I have Asperger's. Why am I not cured? But I don't even wish to be cured at all. I think my Asperger's helps me with a lot of things. Help, if it weren't for my exposures, I probably wouldn't bother making these. My life would probably be just boring. I'm trying to think. And of course, he's been accused for rotoscoping over other people's works, tracing or sketching other people's fan arts for about for thousands of dollars. And this is the guy who made Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom. Okay, where was I? Alright, I'm just gonna take a quick break and then no, I'm not gonna stop the video, but I'm just gonna have a quick drink and then I'll be right back. Okay, where was I? Okay, I think I got all the Spyro's Adventure Skylanders out of the way. Let's continue with the other core Skylanders. Let's find the ones who first appeared in Giants. Pop Fizz versus Stitch. I'm gonna put this as a C. I mean, I do like the idea, but I don't think I drew Stitch right. I think I might have. I think I really didn't do super well with Stitch here. I do like this where the bottle is actually fused with the gun thing. And for those who don't know, if you remember in Lilo and Stitch where they accidentally clogged the gun with the carrot, Stitch and Jumbo keep switching with the weapon, like no, it's a birthday. Oh no, it is your birthday. Happy birthday. Oh, how about Merry Christmas? It's not Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4. And your first is I win. Kaboom! And having his potion thing. I do like, but I just think I should have done better with Stitch. Now, Pop Fizz and Stitch, they fit well together, admittingly, because they're both are blue furry creatures who do something with experiments. And fun fact, Bobcat Goldthwait, the voice of Pop Fizz, is also the voice of Nosy in Lilo and Stitch the series. He's one of the aliens that can speak fluently, just like Reuben, who's played by Rob Paulsen, who voices Smash Hit in Skylanders. Let's see. Jetvac versus Tinkerbell. Now, this one I put as a S here. Admittingly, I was a bit nervous on this part because at first I wanted to exclude Tinkerbell because I was very reluctant to draw her. Because while my dislike for Tinkerbell did wane over time when I started watching the Tinkerbell movies, I still wasn't that keen on drawing her. I don't hate her, it's just that she was never one of my favorite. Maybe because I was never a big. Maybe it's because when I was a kid, I always had a bit of a grudge against fairies. It was thanks to this TV series from Italy. I'm not going to say what it is, but that is Lord Voldemort of my interesting cartoons. In case you guys don't know, but over the years, I've gotten used to her, and I realized if I exclude Tinkerbell, then there is a hole in my Skylanders vs. Disney Infinity lineup, and things are uneven and unorganized. So I decided to give her anyway, but draw her in a way that satisfies me. So I decided to not have a full body of her and just only draw the legs and have her be sucked into Jetpack's thing. And I always wanted to see this become a reality, a jetpacker versus a fairy. That was a dream come true. That was something I've always dreamed about since my childhood. Has anybody ever done that? A jetpacker versus a fairy in any official media? Let me know in the comments if you've seen that. Yeah, but I thought this would fit in really well. Shroomboom versus Marita. Just putting it as a C here. Now I was thinking about now some of you might be asking me, wouldn't Punk Shock fit better against Marita since they both have a similar backstory of archers who are royal princessy, but they don't really want to be princess. They want to be action girls or something like that. Yes, but because she was a Disney Infinity 2.0 character, and I want to give the cores from Giants it's complicated actually. It's really easy. I wanted the cores from Giants to face off against the Disney characters from 2.0, so I couldn't do Punk Shock against Marita. Instead, I have him with Shroomboom because with the slingshot, it's the closest thing. Even though I probably could have done it a lot better, and I think I could have tried doing Marita a bit better. She looked a bit off. Let's see. And I could have done something a bit funnier with Shroomboom. Here it is. Chill versus Maleficent. Now I already explained why I couldn't use Elsa against Chill, but now here's another question: why didn't I use Hex against Maleficent? Since Hex bears a striking resemblance towards Maleficent. Reason: Maleficent is in 2.0 and Hex was in the first Skylanders game. So, and I want to focus on the 2.0 Disney characters against the cores from Giants. Then now I am aware that now a lot of people prefer the 1959 version of Maleficent more than the 2014 version starring Angelina Jolie. The one with even though the one with the Angelina Jolie Maleficent was the one that appears in the game, but people prefer the 1959 version more, so I ended up trying to draw the 1959 version instead. Maybe I should have done a better job, but I think it works well against Chill. And I think it's fine. What else? Fright Rider versus Aladdin. Basically, only did this because Carpet and because they both have symbiotic companions. For Fright Rider, it's Ozzy the ostrich. For Aladdin, it's the Carpet. And fun fact, the Carpet actually does appear in Skylanders Academy in the episode Sky Hard. Yeah, it's a bit of a head scratcher myself, but I wonder why they included it. Maybe it's because the CEO of Activision Blizzard Studios, the TV company for Skylanders Academy, is a former Disney executive named Nick Van Dyke. No relation to Dick Van Dyke. Or was it? Oh, never mind. There are three more from Giants. What else? Hot dog versus Donald Duck. Knowing that no reason. I just wanted to make Donald angry if he stepped on hot dog's something. Flashwing versus Jet. Flashwing versus Jasmine. Basically, because Flashwing is a girl with a lot of diamonds, and Jasmine also has a bit of the diamondish look, and she is so I thought they would fit in fine, but I don't know. There's something about this picture that I think I did not do very well. I think I did it quite poorly. Maybe I should have done a bit better with both Flashwing and Jasmine. I mean, I got the idea, but I think I don't think I executed them right. It's not unwatchable for me, but it's not something I like to look back on. I did have the idea, I just didn't get it right. And Sprocket versus Hero. Both are inventors in something. I drew Hero based on his 2014 his Big Hero 6 TV series counterpart. And basically just sabotage or tank, that's all. Those little microbots, nanobots, whatever you call them. And that's all the cores of the Skylanders. Now to focus on the cores of the from both Swap Force and Trap Team. Now this one's a bit tricky because with the Sparrow's Adventure cores, I can only include 24 out of 32. And with the I managed to include all the cores from Giants, but I can only include either. Now I had two options. I could include either all the trapped. I had only two options. I could include either only all the Trap Team core Skylanders, or 1/2 or 16 core Skylanders from Swap Force and 18 core Skylanders from Trap Team. Since Trap Team's the only game that has a core Skylander of the light and dark element. And there were like 18 plain Disney characters, minus which plus Nemo and Dory, which which I gave to some superchargers, which I will get to in a moment. So let's find all the core Sky. Let's find the light and dark ones. Excuse me for a minute, I need to pee. Sorry about that. Anyways, let's find the swaps and cores of the cores of the swaps and traps, and they feature the remaining Disney Infinity characters completely from Disney. Let's start off with Blackout versus Sam Flynn. Now, the reason why I chose Blackout against Sam Flynn is because believe it or not, fellas, Sam Flynn and Korra, they were featured in the mobile version of 2.0, and they were planned to be included in the console version. But with the announcement of 3.0, they were instead included in the 2.0 version, the 3.0 version of the console instead. That's the only real reason why I wanted to include Blackout against Sam Flynn. And the same can be said with Spotlight against Korra. And they both have rings, but and another reason why those two fit together is because they both have these lighting rings. And heck, in my Skylanders with different songs and Disney Infinity with different songs, I both give them the song Lights by Ellie Goulding. You know, the da 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 don't stop me to do when I'm alone. See what else is now here's another interesting one. Now out of all the now this one may seem a bit of a mixed mismatch, but now some of you might be asking me, how come you didn't include Baymax? Because he was a 2.0 character. Now I have, and I'm facing off against Chopper, who isn't a Giants character, but he is a Trap Team character. Now, fun fact: Chopper was going to be a Giants character. He was going to be a giant T-Rex with a cannon on his back, but they couldn't find a balance for his weight because T-Rexes were more horizontal than vertical. They tried with more options, and they tried like a tank, like a robot with these turrets for hands that go. In the end, they went with Bouncer. And the only reason why Chopper would fit well against Baymax was because of their rocket punches. Maybe that's more for Countdown, but I need to give but what am I talking about again? Let's see. Sorry about that. Let's find the Inside Out characters. Pung Shak versus Joy. No reason. I thought it'd be a bit humorous. In fact, the ones with Inside Out are my absolute favorites, so I'm gonna include all of them on my S tier. Yeah, and it's super fitting for Samus to face off against Flipwreck because of her ability to cry and stuff like that, and knowing that Food Fight is a artichoke, a vegetable, fit well against Disgust. I mean, she does not like Riley doesn't like broccoli. Let's see her dealing with artichoke. And Funny Bone being a skeleton, kind of like that skeleton dog from Dr. Zigbag's Transylvania Pet Shop. He would definitely scare Fear. As for Frino, oh, he has anger issues, just like Anger. Of course he would fit against Anger. Let's see. There's Slobbertooth against Spot. Put this on an A tier because maybe I could have worked a bit better with Spot's design, but I especially like this part. Because both are dinosaur associated. Slobbertooth is a turtle dinosaur, and why is he not an ankylosaur again? Why does it have to be specifically a turtle dinosaur? In fact, why not make him a glyptodont? And they're the one with the they're like giant. He's like an armadillo. That's what I used to think he is. And Spot, he's from the Good Dinosaur. He's a cave boy with Arlo and stuff. Now Arlo was supposed to be a playable character in Disney Infinity, but because of his four-legged posture, they couldn't. They still have it. They're still trying. They was trying to work out that mechanic. They did make Arlo a rideable mount, which I as on a mount as a toy disc, which I happily own. What else? His fist bump against Olaf, and Olaf has this line, "Oh, would you look at that? I'm being crushed," as a reference to the actual movie where he's being impaled instead. Knowing that Olaf doesn't really feel any pain. And fist bump. Why was he chosen instead of Darkwing Duck in the poll? Star Strike versus Mulan. Both have fans. Moving on. Nick Wilde versus Fling Kong. Now the only reason why I chose Nick Wilde against Fling Kong is because have you noticed that in Zootopia the only type of animals in the kingdom are mammals, and not every mammal was included. They didn't include any primates. Well, there is a bit of a theory on that. If you watch the movie Lady and the Tramp, Lady did try talking to the monkeys, but the Tramp is like, "Oh, they won't understand us. They're too closely related to humans. They wouldn't understand." So I added in this little quote here, "Sorry, but I don't speak primate." We have Judy Hopps against Rollerball, and both have kicking abilities. I thought it'd be pretty interesting for Rollerball to show her sharp objects towards Judy. Now this one, I feel tragically sad, because whenever I draw a character that's Baloo related, not a lot of people appreciate it. Whether it was by my Disney Infinity polls or my Disney Injustice series, or even this drawing, not a lot of people appreciated my Baloo drawing, even though Baloo was one of my favorite characters from the Jungle Book. In fact, he's one of my favorite Disney characters, and not a lot of people who superly praise this image. I think it's definitely not an S tier, but I definitely do like this one. Let's see, how many more of the I could have sworn I put Baymax. Oh, sorry, this is the wrong one. Sorry, this is the wrong one. This Baymax is supposed to be here. Sorry. Deja Vu versus Time. I just put it as a C. Didn't really care for it that much. I didn't really get why Alice to look you guys had to be one of the Disney characters, to be honest. I mean, the film bombed, and were people really wanting a follow up to the 2010 Alice movie? I mean, I get the first Alice movie made a lot of money, made $1 billion, but is it really worth it a sequel? Well, I mean, people did see the movie, but not a lot of people were impressed by it, saying that it focuses less on adapting an Alice book and focusing on a completely original story that raises way too many questions. Speaking of Alice, I basically chose Torch against Alice because just to have her do the Empire of the Statue of Liberty pose. Since Torch's hair is on fire and Alice can literally become a giantess, she can do that. She can do that Statue of Liberty pose. Admittedly, I did cheat a little bit with this one. Because I had a bit of a hard time trying to draw Alice, I had to rotoscope over one of the screenshots of the first movie, the 1951 version. And another one I had to take a bit of liberties with is the wind up against the Mad Hatter. Here. So now because I'm more familiar with the 1951 version, but the 2010 version of the Mad Hatter is featured in Disney Infinity, I thought I'd draw the 1951 Mad Hatter, but color him like the 2010 version. So it's a bit of a win-win it's a bit of a win-win. And if I were to make him an actual character, I would still give him the Ed Wynn type of voice. He's, why is a raven like a writing desk? Since wind up is a bit insane, it makes sense for the Mad Hatter. Scratch versus Minnie Mouse. No reason, it's just a bit of a cat and mouse thing. Anymore, did I use up all my, Let's see how many I got from the 1.0. Let me just move my, that's where I was supposed to be. Let's see, how many did I use from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's one more. There's only one more left. It's definitely here somewhere. Wait, did I use it? Let me just let's see, that's two texts, 1, 2 waters, 2 fires, 2 lives, 2 undeads, 2 words, 2 ticks, 2 waters, 2 fires, 2 lives, 2 undeads, 2 earths, 2 airs, oh, wait, did I think I already did. What, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Oh, I got them all together. So, yeah, it's valid. I think I pretty much used up all the core Skylanders and all the Disney Infinity Disney characters. Let's sorry about that. Let's moving on. Let's go with now. Let's start next stop the Giants and the Swap Force versus the Marvel characters. Now, the reason why I chose the Giants against the Swap Force, the Giants and Swap Force against the Marvel characters is that there's 25 members of the Marvel characters, and there's like only 16 and 8 Giants. That was almost enough for the entire set. And funny enough, if there's not that many female characters on either side. I mean, Giants only has 1 and Swap Force has none, while Marvel only has about 2. So, and you're probably wondering what about the so I'm just gonna put this in a random order. So Blast Zone versus the Green Goblin, both have the ability to bomb. Boom Jet versus Rocket Raccoon. They both have something to do with rockets. Now here's a special one, the Chomping Mage versus Loki. Now the Chomping Mage is like the only villain who has appeared in almost all the Skylanders games. The only 2 exceptions being Swap Force and Spyro's Adventure. Aside from that, he's appeared in every other Skylanders game. He's one of the he's a sensei, he's a Doom Raider. And he is also a transform. He also has the ability to transform, just like Loki. So I think so. This is a now as for the Marvel characters, some of them are modeled after their superhero squad counterparts, which to me was the big thing Marvel related to me. I wanted to do some. Yes, the Superhero Squad show was a bit of an influence to my interest in Marvel. It was my introduction to Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet, as well as Falcon. Let's see. Now here's the one that I misplaced. I thought it was the Chopper versus Baymax thing, but no, it's Bouncer versus Iron Man. And this is where you can tell I took a lot of influence from the Superhero Squad show. Oh, Iron Man is basically Crusher versus Ronan the Executioner. Both are hammer users. I'm putting this on a B because I'm sure a lot of people would have preferred it if I had the movie version where he's completely dark instead of the comic or the Superhero Squad version where he's red, yellow, and green. Doomstone versus Captain America. Both are shield users. Maybe I could have worked on Cap a bit more. Eyeball versus vision. Has something to do with the vision of one's eyes. Firecracken versus Yondu. Man, maybe I didn't work a bit better with. Maybe I could have worked a bit better with Yondu, but I think it was fine. They both have spear-like weapons. Free Ranger versus Falcon. Now, normally Stormblade would have been a better choice, but I gave her for something else, which I'll talk about later. They're both bird associates. Freezeblade versus Star-Lord. No reason, to be honest. Nova versus Hooploop. Something to do with astral or portals or something like that. Actually, I'm putting this in an A. The Hulk versus Hothead. Both are big and angry. Magna Charge versus Ultron. Magna Charge versus Ultron. Both are robots. And fun fact, if you read Magna Charge's backstory, you know his species is an Ultron robot. No wonder that name sounded familiar when I was looking up Ultron in Marvel. Night Shift versus Iron Fist. Both have hard, big punches. Ninjini versus Gamora. Both are athletic female swordsmen. Rattleshake versus Black Widow. Both are something to do with poison. I mean, Black Widow's name comes from a black widow spider, one of the most venomous spiders in North America. Rattlesnake is a rattlesnake. Rattleshake is a rattlesnake. A venomous snake. Oh dear, I'm putting this one on to C. Rumble Rouser versus Thor. Both have hammers. But I think I really made Thor look very awkward. He kind of looks like one of those twins from How to Train Your Dragon, the one where T.J. Miller used to voice in the first two movies. Looks very awkward. I think it looks a bit awkward. He kind of looks like that. Spy Rise versus Spider-Man. Now here's a little bit of an interesting history with this. When I was during my production of Skylanders versus DC Infinity, I often had trouble deciding who should Spider-Man face off, Spyro or Spy Rise. I mean, one thing's for sure, Spy Rise. Spy Rise is a spider-like robot. Spy Rise is a spider-like robot, and he has the ability to shoot weapons. And he's able to, to shoot, and he's able to use his legs like how a spider slings a web or something. And Spider-Man literally has web-like powers or something like that. And the other candidate I thought to myself is Spider-Man facing off against Spyro, because both characters have the dark option. Spyro has Dark Spyro and Spider-Man has Black Suit Spider-Man. I thought that would fit well. And as for Mickey Mouse, his best candidate would be against Pop Fizz, because both are kind of rodentish, and Mickey has two versions: Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey Mouse and regular Mickey Mouse, while Pop Fizz has has regular Pop Fizz and Big Bubble Pop Fizz, or Beast Pop Fizz. Either way. But I couldn't miss. But I thought the Spyro versus Spider-Man things works out super well, so I used that instead. It was too good to pass on. Stink Bomb versus Hawkeye. No reason. I just wanted to make this joke about being shot in the butt and making a fart jump. Swarm versus Ant-Man. Both have something with insects. Swarm is big, while Ant-Man can be big or small. He can even grow his ants big. Thumpback versus Venom. Both have a habit of eating something. And I really like how I did this one, where instead of having Venom facing off against Thumpback like a man, he instead has the symbiote trying to possess Thumpback. And you know, the Venom symbiote can choose whichever host it wants. I mean, we all know we are more associated with its other host, Eddie Brock. But he also possessed others. Like, he once possessed one other guy, but he jumped to it. But then he died in midair. Then there's another one he possessed named Mac Gargan, also known as Scorpion. Not Mortal Kombat, Marvel. And depending on who wears the suit, it has a different effect. That there's different textures or something like that. I mean, and if you see the Venom movie, he also possessed She-Venom. Eddie Brock's ex-girlfriend, or... I'm sure some people were either aroused or disgusted at that image. Trap Shadow versus Black Panther. Mainly, I think I got Trap Shadow's coloring a bit off. He should have been a little bit darker. But having him against Black Panther is a win-win altogether because they're both associated with felines. Dark cats. T-Rex versus Groot. Both are tree-like creatures. And fun fact, in Skylanders and Disney Infinity, both characters are voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson. Groot was originally supposed to be voiced by Michael Clark Duncan, but due to his passing in 2012, he was replaced by Kevin Michael Richardson. Excuse me. I think maybe I drew Groot a bit odd in this, so he's. And I think this is the last. No, wait, I missed one. Driller versus Drax, and no reason. No reason really. And Washbuckler versus Nick Fury. Uh-oh. Be right back, fellas. Sorry, I had to take care of something. Anyways, what was I? Okay, fellas, that's all the Disney. That's all the Marvel characters I can use. That's all the Marvel characters taken care of, as well as the Giants and the Swap Force. And then the reason why I chose Washbuckler is Nick Fury, because Washbuckler is like the organizer of the Swap Force, while Nick Fury is the assembler of the Avengers, and even Spider-Man's team. Okay, next up, it's the Star Wars against the Trap Masters. And since there's 18 Star Wars characters, not including Anakin Skywalker or Mace Windu, who appears as a summonable disc character. It's enough for me to use all of them against the Trap Masters. So let's start with Blastermind against Obi-Wan Kenobi. I could have worked better with Obi-Wan, but at least I did get the reference with the you don't need to see his identity type of Force thing. And they're like, we don't need to see his identity. These aren't the droids you're looking for. These aren't the droids we're looking for. He could go about his business. You can go about your business. Move along. Move along. I wonder if Master's mind would be kind of that way. Bushwhack versus Ezra from or Ezra. I'm not sure how to pronounce their names. You can. I need to look them up. How to pronounce their names properly. No reason. I just thought maybe his antlers could be used as a slingshot, and Ezra at the beginning of the series is a bit of a troublemaker. He does grow, as far as I'm aware. Enigma versus Kylo Ren. And both have a mysterious figure cloak-like thing. Though you never see Enigma's face, you can see Kylo Ren's face in some particular scenes. Gearship versus Sabine. Both are tech girls. I think I do Gearship a bit awkwardly. Gusto versus Poe Dameron. Both are air thing. I mean, Poe is a pilot. Headrush versus Princess Leia. I like this one a lot, so I'll put this one here because I like to poke fun of their hairdos. Have them switch a bit. I also like this one a lot. Jawbreaker versus Finn. He just shakes up, empties his he just shakes a bit and see if there's any items on the floor. Nightlight versus Darth Vader. Now this one I also enjoyed. So the light versus the darkness. Sure, Crypt King would have been a better candidate against Darth Vader, but I thought a bit of contrast never hurted anybody. Boba Fett versus Kaboom. Both have ranged weapons. Now, I did two different versions of Boba Fett. One of them with the colors of the movie, and another where he was colored more like the Star Wars Holiday Special, which was his debut, by the way. Crypt King versus Darth Maul. Well, if I couldn't have him against Darth Vader, might as well have him against another Darth, Maul. I also like this one. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. I also like this one. It's Chewbacca versus Lobstar. He's crying because turns out Wookiee teeth are strong enough to penetrate Traptanium. Yoda versus Shortcut. Let's see which runt is the best. Snapshot versus Luke Skywalker. The two leading characters against each other. Sorry about that. I think I only have two more Star Wars characters left. This one's an E for me because I really don't like the way I drew. I don't really like the way I drew. I don't think I like this one that much. I don't really like the way Kanan is drawn, and this bit is I think it's a little bit predictable. Lightsaber is able to count to Traptania. I think I overused the whole able to break to Traptanian joke thing all too much. Ahsoka versus Tough Luck. Actually, I'll put this as an A. Both females dual swordsmen. And only 2 more left. Wildfire versus Han Solo. Oh, you should. I think it was best that Greedo shot first, because if Han did shoot first, then this might have happened if he met Wildfire, if he shot first. And finally, Zeb versus Wallop. I kind of like this one, so... Yep, that's all the Star Wars characters. Now to include some miscellaneous ones. Let's start off with the Superchargers versus the Cars characters and the Nemo characters. Now the reason why I chose the Nemo characters and the Cars characters to go against the Superchargers is because the Cars characters are in fact vehicles, and the Superchargers, they're known to pilot vehicles, and the Nemo and Dory are the only ones who can swim, are the only Disney Infinity characters who can swim, and they can, and heck, you can even see them swimming on land. That's very weird. Imagine if Ariel was in Disney Infinity. So for that, let's put Diveclops against Nemo at B, while Nightfall is against Dory should be at A. Immediately I cheated a little bit with Lightning McQueen versus Spitfire because they were just reused from a previous animation I did. The Superchargers SC Races animation, which is a parody of Wacky Races, and the unfinished Traffic Jam music video by Weird Al Yankovic. Stormblade versus Holly, and Crypt Crusher versus Fiesta, and Crypt Crusher versus Francesco. Now for some other miscellaneous ones. Start off with Bad Breath against Peter Pan. Just put this as a C. I don't think I drew Peter Pan right. It's so basically it's now fun fact, Peter Pan was announced a year to appear in Disney Infinity a year before the game got canceled, but he was nearly finished. I did manage to own a figure of him, which was still in a product factory state in China. If Disney Infinity continued, I probably would have been able to play as him all the way. Bad Breath is the only Skylander in this list that's exclusive to a TV series. In that case, be Skylanders Academy. Sai, you can play as him in the game if you have the associated parts, just not the right feet though. Speaking of which, Sai versus Clue. Now here's a fun fact. Clue actually does appear in Disney Infinity in the Toy Box Takeover mission. Since most of the other villains in the Toy Box Takeover game were also playable characters, it makes me think that Clue was supposed to be a playable character, but it got scrapped during production of Disney Infinity, and they had to scrap it altogether. Oh, I missed one. I missed Nightmare versus Ray. I'll just put her at A. Sorry about that. And I'll just slide her over there. Here's Ferb versus Sir Hoodington, the mascot of Skylanders Imaginators. He's the one who's featured in a lot of promos. Facing off Ferb, who was very close to appearing in 1.0 of Disney Infinity, but he got scrapped. Evil Emperor Zurg versus Vathek. Heck, now fun fact, these two were supposed to be playable in their respective games, but they were later reduced to just NPC villains. Although Zurg was playable in the Toy Story 3 game, which was also developed by Avalanche Software, the developer of Disney Infinity. While Vathek never got a chance to be playable, not even in Trap Team. And here is Master Eon, the man who assembled the Skylanders, against Merlin, who did appear as an NPC in the Toy Box Takeover playset. And he is and they're both like wizards, both are sorcerers or stuff like that. And here is the last of the released characters. Here's the last one of the bunch. Dark Spyro versus Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey Mouse. The reason why I had the originals CC slap each other because they haven't unleashed their power as their regular selves. But as a dark counterpart and as a Sorcerer's Apprentice, they've unleashed their full potential. Oh, I got two more. I didn't see that. I don't remember seeing those two in Disney Infinity. I don't remember seeing those two in Skylanders either. What's about them? Oh, I remember now. These guys were scrapped from the final games. They were supposed to be playable in those games, but they got scrapped for Disney. For the Green Dragon called Sun Dragon, he was supposed to be playable, but he got renamed but he got scrapped and became Camo. Although he does appear in the Skylanders beginning trailer. I just put him. And as for Tarklops, he was supposed to also appear, but they scrapped him and replaced him with Zap. And they also took away his abilities and planted onto Zap. In Trap Team, there was a hat which bears a resemblance towards Tarklops. And if you're playing as Zap and wearing him as a hat, you're basically playing as Tarklops. I have a video about that in case you want to know how to play as him. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen in Superchargers or Imaginators. And I actually like this one, so it's an S for me. There you go, fellas. These are my These are my favorite and least favorites of the rival and pictures of Skylanders versus Disney Infinity. And my S tier, it's Mickey Mouse versus Sparrow versus Mickey, Dynarang versus Woody, Elsa versus Eruptor, Rumor versus Phineas, Drobot versus Buzz Lightyear, Hex versus Jack Sparrow, Whirlwind versus Tank versus Rapunzel, Camo versus Randall, Chaos versus Syndrome, Jetvac versus Tinkerbell, Chopper versus Baymax, Punk Shock versus Joy, Flip Wreck versus Sadness, Frino versus Anger, Food Fight versus Disgust, Funny Bone versus Fear, Fist Bump versus Olaf, Rollerball versus Judy Hopps, Alice versus Torch, Scratch versus Minnie Mouse, Chomping Mage versus Loki, Hothead versus Hulk, Magna Charge versus Ultron, Ninjini versus Gamora, Spyro versus Spider-Man, Swarm versus Ant-Man, Thumpback versus Venom, Head Rush versus Princess Leia, Jawbreaker versus Finn, The Nightlight versus Darth Vader, Volop versus Zeb, Mater versus Smash Hit in the Thump Truck versus Mater, Dark Spyro versus Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey Mouse, and Moana versus Charclops. Just in the A tier, it's Jesse versus Bash, Slam Bam versus Sullivan, Ignitor versus Anna, Flamesinger versus Dash, Trigger Happy versus Lone Ranger, Cinder versus Hector Barbosa, Chop Chop versus Jack Skellington, Stump Smash versus Wreck-It Ralph, Fright Rider versus Aladdin, Hot Dog versus Donald Duck, Spotlight versus Quora, Slobbertooth versus Spot, Fling Kong versus Nick Wilde, Zulu versus Baloo, Wind Up versus Mad Hatter, Blast Zone versus Green Goblin, Rocket Raccoon versus Boomjet, Bouncer versus Iron Man, Eyebrow versus Vision, Free Ranger versus Falcon, Freezeblade versus Star-Lord, Hoot Loop versus Nova, Night Shift versus Iron Fist, Rattleshake versus Black Widow, Stink Bomb versus Hawkeye, Trap Shadow versus Black Panther, Enigma versus Kylo Ren, Kaboom versus Boba Fett, Crypt King versus Darth Maul, Lobstar versus Chewbacca, what was it again? Shortcut versus Yoda, Tough Luck versus Ahsoka Tano, and Nightmare versus Rey. Kylo Ren, Nightfall versus Dory, Spitfire in the Hot Streak versus Lightning McQueen, Stormblade in the Sky Slicer versus Holly Shipwell, Fiesta and the Crypt Crusher versus Francesco, Psy versus Clue, Sir Hoodington versus Ferb, Vathek versus Zerg, Master Eon versus Merlin, and Sun Dragon versus Maui. In the B tier, we have Wrecking Ball versus Elastigirl, Terrafin versus Mr. Incredible, Gilgrunt versus Davy Jones, Whamshell versus Perry, Sonic Boom versus Tonto, Lightning Rod versus Mike Wazowski, Stealth Elf versus Violet, Chill versus Maleficent, Sprocket versus Hero, Blackout versus Sam Flynn, Star Strike versus Mulan, Crusher versus Ronin, Doomstone versus Captain America, Firecracken versus Yondu, T-Rex versus Groot, Grilla versus Drax, Washbuckler versus Nick Fury, Gearshift versus Sabine, Gusto versus Pole, Snapshot versus Luke Skywalker, Wildfire versus Han Solo, and Dive Clubs versus Nemo. In the C tier, it's Voodoo versus Vanellope. Stitch versus Popfish versus Stitch, Shroomboom versus Marita, Deja Vu versus Time, Rebel Rouser versus Thor, Blastermind versus Obi-Wan Kenobi, Bushwhack versus Ezra, and Bad Brash versus Peter Pan. On the D, it's Flashwing versus Jasmine, and on the E tier, it's Kanan, Thunderbolt versus Kanan. Sorry if I didn't include some of your favorite Skylanders, not even the senseis. But if they were to continue making more Disney Infinity, characters, I probably would have included a few more options. Maybe I might try a rivalry for the disc, some of the disc characters like Tantor or Mace Windu or anything, or Dumbo or something like that. But this is all I can. These are my favorites. If you want, which one do you think is your favorite? You can come down to this list. If you can, there's a link to the description. There's a link on the description if you want to rate your own make your own Skylanders versus Disney Infinity picture. If you like any of these, let me know in the comments which one's your favorite, which one's your least favorite, which one belongs in which tier. Let me know in the comments. I might do another one of these some other time. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this video.